guys, just walking through some random Polish town, Zakopane to be exact. Beautiful little town. I wanted to talk about depression. I know that I was looking at a stat the other day about how the rate of depression in men, this is going to be interesting with all these sounds going on around me. The rate of depression amongst men in the last year, and I'm speaking in March 2021, the rate of depression, or at least reported depression, right, in men has gone up 60 to 70%. I don't know if that's in the UK or the US or the West, but that's a big jump. And I imagine a lot of that has to do with the pandemic and the lockdowns and the domestic troubles and so on that can be linked to the lockdowns. But of course, if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that our emotional experience, right, whether we're anxious or depressed or angry or frustrated, we create it for ourselves. We are actually creating that reality, that experience, because of how we are thinking. What is the content of our minds? That is what is creating our experience, including depression. Now, what I wanted to cover today was what to do if you are one of those guys who has experienced more recently more days where you're depressed over days where you've actually felt okay. I've chosen the most complicated place and time to do this. If you are depressed, if you get into depressive moods more often than not, or you've even been diagnosed with depression, your biggest priority right now is to take on habits that the non-depressed, the happy, the peaceful version of you would be doing. The reason people get depressed isn't, as much as it seems like it is, coming from the things around you. It isn't from the relationships, it isn't from your situation. It's from how you react to those situations. If you got divorced, divorce is a horrible thing, but the reason you're depressed is because of the habits you have put into play after that event happened. For whatever reason, you felt it was a good idea to start drinking, to start ruminating, or ruminating harder, to drop a few good habits here and there. Maybe you thought, oh, my life is too difficult to go exercising every day, so I'm going to stop that. And I get it. I get the pain can be so overwhelming that the last thing you want to do and can physically feel like you can do is to do things like exercise and do good habits. But the reality is that it's all to do with how we're actually behaving in our lives, right? So we have to bring awareness to that. If we're depressed, if we're in a low mood, it's a 100% correlated relationship with bad habits, and specifically habits that depressed people do. If you're depressed, you are doing depressive habits. If you're generally upbeat, high mood, happy, at peace, calm in general, you are generally doing the kinds of things that happy people do. That includes how you think, but it also includes what you decide to eat, how you get up in the morning, how you treat your environment, how you interact, my brain isn't working today, how you interrelate with other people. For example, you might, if you're in your depressive version, you might think of everyone as a threat, or as, you know, an object of your negative judgment, and that makes you feel bad, and also puts you in the position of someone who has negative habits, which will then in turn affect your emotional well-being. If you judge other people, for example, you are basically putting yourself in a position where you see yourself as a negative, critical person, and that will affect your emotional experience. That will lead to things like depression. So to change that, and I want to really speak to those of you who are feeling it, or maybe those of you who had it in the past and you want to avoid it, think of it in simple terms. If you've been depressed, you have been executing bad habits that depressive people do. And so your priority now, you don't want to live a life of depression. You don't want to be in depression for another day, or anxiety, or whatever it is. So you have to be strong here, and you have to commit. First of all, you want to be compassionate with yourself. You want to say, look, this is just the way things have gone. I'm not a bad person because of this. I've just fallen into bad habits. It's totally mechanical in that sense. It's got nothing to do with you being a low worth person. It's nothing to do with you. We always take things so personally. And that's where these psychological challenges can come in, is when we start thinking, oh no, I've got low self-worth, and that leads to bad habits, and it's kind of endless cycle. So you want to bring some compassion to yourself first. Realize that all that's happened is you've gotten into some bad habits. But because we don't want to live like this, and we want to get out of it as quickly as possible, your biggest priority, and a very compassionate priority in a sense, is to prioritize replacing those bad habits with good habits bit by bit. And that starts with the seemingly simple stuff. It's not always easy, but for example, making your diets up to scratch again, eating better, quitting smoking, quitting drinking for at least a time. Because if your biggest priority right now is to get out of the muck, get out of the dark, you have to do whatever it takes. You have to prioritize those good habits, even if it's a push, and even if it's one thing at a time. That also includes incorporating good habits like meditation into your day, and maybe getting up a little bit earlier. You want to be starting to do things so that you start recognizing yourself in a different light. You need to see yourself differently. You can no longer see yourself as Mr. Depression. You have to see yourself as the type of guy who does things that happy people do. So be that guy. I'm getting surrounded from all angles here, and it gets a little bit distracting. So I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna keep this video short. Just want to leave that with you guys, just as a little thought. Prioritize lifting your mood through good habits, health, diet, fitness. Watch my other videos on thought management and how we can get into these cycles of overthinking. And a lot of our anxiety, a lot of our depression comes out of allowing too much of this to go on in our heads. So we want to address that as well. But overall, just as a kind of, to round this off, to get out of depression, to get out of feeling low, start doing things that people do who are happy. And you know this, you can instinctively feel for this, because you have a peaceful version of yourself and you have a depression version of yourself. It's like a scale. So move up along that happy version of yourself, that side of the scale. Okay. If you've got any questions on this, leave a comment below, or DM me, or email me through the links below. I'm happy to talk to you about all this stuff. I've been through this. I've experienced the lows of feeling very depressed and very lost, and the light has always come in the form of step-by-step small habits, enacting, doing things that your non-depressive self would do. So be creative in that sense, and good luck, guys. Do like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more like this, and I'll be with you in the next one. Peace out.